And in more local news at this hour, those who are in favor of the City of Glasgow transferring ownership of certain Gorin Park properties, such as Nelson and Richardson Fields, to the Glasgow Independent School Board, got a bit of bad news at last night's Glasgow City Council meeting, calling into question whether or not it is even a possibility given certain grant restrictions on the property.
Last meeting, we heard from the school board about the property they were asking for and wanted us to consider. That land is restricted, but also the entire park is restricted. The Land and Water Conservation Fund is funded through the National Park Service, and then it passes through the Department of Local Government, which is then passed on to local communities like ourselves. Gorin Park has received Land and Water Conservation Funds at least 5 times since 1965, and that's as far back as the National Park Service keeps their records. Some of the restrictions which we enter in, the city and the Department of Local Government enter into an agreement with, is the focus that you need for tonight. The acreage must remain, the entire acreage of the park must remain open and accessible to the public at reasonable hours for recreation purposes. Reasonable hours, we lock them up at night. The acreage may never be sold or donated. The acreage may be leased for use as for scheduled practices or games, but must remain open during unscheduled times. With all that being said, there is one option that they give you. It's not a good option. They don't look upon it kindly. It's called a conversion. Basically what happens is the city has to acquire other property at the same fair market value monetarily as what we're giving, donating, and selling. And then after they do that, it has to be used for recreational use. It also has to go through your historic preservation review. You have to go through the environmental preservation review. Then it is restricted with the federal funds just as the other park was.
Your new property?
The new property is restricted just as the old property was. That process can take at minimum a year, and then you have to send all of your documentation, what you've done to make their conversion, to the National Park Service, and then they get the final say. So if you go through the whole process and then they say, no, we don't accept this, then you can't do it. So you can't sell, donate, or utilize that property, give that property away, lease it, all that kind of stuff, until the National Park Service, the Department of Interior Secretary, has signed off on that.
In a nutshell, basically the city can't donate or sell for $1 or any sort of transaction unless they go through a process called conversion. That would mean that the city would have to purchase new real property for outdoor recreational use, take at least a year getting the conversion approved, and meet all requirements from a number of federal and state government agencies in order to give the Glasgow School Board the option of taking over Nelson and Richardson Fields. Council member Brad Gross, who has multiple children who have or currently participated in high school sports, says leaving the field open to the public would be less than ideal for any coach.
If the school board did upgrades down there, give us the money to do upgrades, I can't think of any coach that's going to want that to be open to the public.
Several council members discussed what these restrictions meant, while Mayor Dick Doty did not rule out that the transfer of ownership is still a possibility. It just may take a while.
I think that this is appealing from a community standpoint. Is on that master plan, there really is no allowance for any monies to be spent on Richardson Field, Nelson Field. Those fields will basically remain unchanged. I feel certain that we will have some restroom upgrades or new restrooms, and potentially playgrounds. I think the school board's intent, I don't know if it's their intent, but they will spend a significant amount of money to upgrade those two ballparks, to have ballparks that satisfy their desire for quality ball. I don't think that the master plan is going to suggest that the city spend that amount of money on those ball fields. I just don't think that's going to be there. I think it will say,
It was more on the quality of life type of things. Playgrounds, restrooms, walking trails, those type of things.
right,
And Eddie, wasn't it my understanding that might be, as they do in the school boards, that might not be a 1A project? That would maybe be there'd be several projects in front before even the quality of life thing.
Correct. It's going to be up to you all to decide what that priority list is. But it's a now to 10-year plan. So it'll be up to you guys to decide that.
We can improve, however, from what they just said, I don't think that we really have that option, do we?
the option.
To allow them to have the park in any form or fashion, do we? From
No,
what
we
you said.
We absolutely have the option of the conversion that they spoke of. Now, there's plenty of hoops there to jump through, but if it is this board's pleasure, this group's pleasure to proceed, then the ball is in their court to determine can we jump through those hoops or not.
Chair of the Parks and Rec Committee, Councilmember Chastity Lowry, made the motion to allow Mayor Doty to continue discussions with the school board to gauge their opinions given this new information.
It is not our job or responsibility to tell Glasgow Independent School District where to build their softball field. What I think we all agree on is those girls deserve the best softball field that they can get. And as do all of our children in the community for athletic facilities. So this is a lot of information that's come to light this evening. I don't know how much the school board had information about this before tonight, but I think maybe perhaps the motion to make would be to allow Mayor Doty to continue discussion with the school board on this, to find out if they're interested in looking into this conversion process, and then just come back to us once you all have had a chance to think about this and talk it over, because the school board may decide this is just not worth the hassle. Let's build it at home.
The council passed Lowry's motion unanimously, giving the school board the option of whether or not they would want the city government to apply for the conversion process. Then it would be up to the city to decide. Either way, the Glasgow School Board is committed by vote to build a softball facility on or off the high school campus. For WCLU Local News, I'm Wes Royce.